Hello guys, and welcome back to a long-awaited resumption of An Englishman in Siberia, episode 5, I believe this is. Now, it's been a few months, I think, since the last one, and you may well be wondering why I'm standing next to a road with a slightly odd-looking building behind me. But, like all of the other episodes, this is one of my favourite places in Tyumen. Now, it is actually... if that car alarm would shut up. No, it's not going to listen to me, it's going to keep going. Alright, it is actually a building that for me represents more than just, more than just Tyumen, but a bit of Russian culture. Now, anybody who's been to Russia or lived in Russia will be familiar with the term banya. Now, again, even if you're familiar with the term banya, you may still be wondering, why am I standing behind this decrepit building? Well, this is the oldest banya in Tyumen. It's over 100 years old, but as you can see, it's now very much disused. And the reason I've chosen this is partly because, I mean, I could show you a real banya that is actively working right now, but it's for two reasons. One, about banyas themselves. I wanted to give you an idea of what they are, and I'll run through that in a minute. But also, for me, you know, this city is one of the fastest growing cities, certainly that I've ever been in, across the whole country of Russia. I can't quite comment because I've not visited too many, but this is one of the shames about it. This is, like I say, it's a circular building. We'll have a little stroll around. I'll show you some of the windows that are unfortunately a bit broken at the moment. And it's just been left to ruin. And I think it's such a crying shame. The only saving grace is that it was actually protected from being knocked down. This is, all around it, now a car park, which, to be honest, is in desperate need, so I'm supporting the building of the car park. They wanted to knock it down to have an even bigger space just for parking, but thankfully they saved it. Now, this is actually also, another reason why I chose this place for this video, is where it is in the city. This long road behind me here is the biggest street in Tyumen, Respubliki. Now, if you watched any of the other episodes before, I'll just turn round. We're actually at the very beginning of the street. Now, just where those cars are coming round the corner, just over there, that is where Lover's Bridge is, and that was one of my Englishman in Siberia videos. And just over my shoulder that way is the football stadium, the Geolog, and that's another one that I've shown you. Now, this street runs right through the centre of the city, and on the 9th of May, Victory Day, there is a huge parade where veterans and employees of different companies, they all start from, well, a bit further down actually, if I'm honest, over my shoulder, but they walk down the street. And anyway, right at the beginning, here it is. We're only about 200 metres from the very founding stone of the entire city. And bearing in mind, it's the first... now, let me get my facts right here. Yermak was a Cossack invader of this area of the country, and he himself was the man who founded the city in 1586. So, it is the first... Russian established city. There have been previous peoples who have lived in Siberia, of course, for hundreds, thousands of years even, but the first Siberian city. The football chant is Первый город Sibir, and they're very proud of the fact that this is the first city established. And anyhow, for me, this is one of the slightly more modern icons of the city. Now, banya, I've mentioned this, and I've not really explained what it is for those of you who are not familiar. A banya is, well, the nearest equivalent we have is a sauna, and to all intents and purposes it's pretty much the same thing, or Finnish steam room perhaps, if you want to be technical. The basic idea is you go in and you have a huge bucket of boiling water, and you dip a birch branch into the boiling water, and you thrash the living daylights out of whoever is lying down on their front. And I really do mean thrash. The first time I arrived in Russia, I had a colleague, Rob, and he is a very intelligent man, and a very much immersed in Russian culture person. And he explained to me that this is what we have to do. So there I was, in a banya, and Rob said, no, this is what I've got to do. We hit you with branches. And I thought, okay, fine. Feels uncomfortable the first time, and with not quite boiling but extremely hot water on the tips of the leaves, it really strikes into your pores. And then comes this is the best part. Traditionally, what a lot of Russians do is they go to banyas in the countryside, and in winter they then run outside into the snow, often completely naked, jump into the snow, roll around in the snow for about 30 seconds, and then run straight back in again. And you repeat this process until not until you can't take it anymore, but at least 3-4 times. And I thought, they're absolutely completely insane here. Now, I know the tabloid media in England loves to make out that Russians are crazy, and in many ways they actually are. This is one of them. But I tell you what, it is an absolutely sublime sensation to go in the banya, jump in the snow, back in the banya, back in the snow again. Now, a lot of Russian cities have buildings, or had anyway, buildings like this. So in the city centre, basically for convenience, when you don't have the time, or it's during the week, you don't have time to go out into the countryside, you simply come to one of these instead. So all of these windows around would have been separate compartments. There would have been, there's 3 levels, as you can see. Well, I don't know if you can make out. One with the graffiti, second window, and then top level there. There probably would have been a slightly more communal area for just sitting around, having a cup of tea. Vodka traditionally is drunk, that won't surprise a lot of you. And I mean, it would have been a really nice social occasion. Very simple, healthy, and right in the centre of the city. Well, it would have been back then. I mean, it's really quite sad. You look at me behind, all the brickwork just completely fallen to pieces. This part here, this little metal structure here, I can't even be 100% certain what it's for, but could have been a little balcony or something. And the wood is just rotting away. There's weeds growing up there, you can see, and that top window up there. The windows have been smashed. There's graffiti around it, and it's not that I have anything against graffiti. In fact, I often think it's one of the more interesting art forms you can find in new cities, and some of it is just, I love you, my darling girlfriend. Actually, a little side issue. That's one strange thing I find about Russian graffiti, is that for some reason, some Russian men seem to think it's romantic to vandalise the streets saying, I love you, Anya, I can't live without you, on a pavement which everybody is treading their feet on, dogs are shitting on, and apparently that's romantic, but hey, each to their own. Now, I'm just strolling right round the outside, another window up there, broken. You can see actually the bottom parts, they've been bricked in, and I mean, obviously I'm not going to go quite inside, but see there's a gap down there, and round here there's actually one that's much wider open. Actually, you know what? I've never quite seen quite inside. I don't think you can really tell because it's pretty dark, but it's newly, well, not newly painted, but can't have been more than, I don't know, 10 years ago, that paintwork inside. Now here, it's completely open. Now, I'm not sure quite how much you can make out with a light, but there's lots of old cupboards that have just been thrown in there. People have obviously been in not that long ago. And I wouldn't be surprised if people still do go for some reason. I mean, not that that's my thing to go into old decrepit buildings, but I wouldn't put it past some people. But yeah, so this it is. I mean, this is actually the car park I now use for my new job. I work just across the road from here, so every day the last 2 weeks at least, and I will do for the foreseeable future, I walk past one of the, for me, most emblematic buildings in the city, and it's kind of a mixture of nostalgia and sadness that I get from it. I think the banya culture is one of the most fascinating variations on something that's not completely alien to the Western world, and that's what I like about it. My mother, who is famously the most sensitive person to cold temperatures in the world, I actually did manage to persuade her to do this, and she did the banya properly, and she enjoyed it. So if my mum can, then anybody can. She really, she gets freezing in plus 20 degrees. So there it is. That is the first ever banya, city banya I should add, in Tyumen, and unfortunately in a state of disrepair. So there we go. Anyway guys, that's my little episode 5 of An Englishman in Siberia. I hope you've enjoyed it. The reason I haven't done it for a long time is simply through laziness, I'll be perfectly honest, just always procrastinating getting around to it. But also the reason I got back into it is I did a little interview with a Russian media website, and one of the questions was somebody had noticed my YouTube channel and asked, why don't you do this anymore? And I thought, you know what, good question, why don't I? So I'm trying to get back into it. So there it is, one of my favourite buildings in Tyumen, a different type of building because the other sites I've shown you so far have been the most beautiful, best kept parts, and there will be more of those to come. But I think it's important to show a bit of balance, show something that means something to me in a different way. Yeah, just to show a different side of it. So there you go. Thanks for joining me, guys. I will be back for more episodes soon. I intend to show you, now you're not going to believe this, but I swear to God it's true, I'm going to show you what will become the largest indoor aqua park in Europe. You think I'm joking? In the middle of Siberia, why would it be there? Well, believe me, I've seen it being built across the road from my house. So I'll be showing you that soon, and the park around it and the lake. And as winter approaches, once the snow's on the ground, as you can see at the moment it's not, it's about +5 degrees at the moment. When the snow's here, I will do a winter version of one or two of the places that I'd love to show you. Thanks for joining for now. If you like my videos, please follow my channel, favourite it, or whatever the hell you call it on YouTube. I'll be honest, I'm not that technical on that aspect, but please follow me. Let any of your friends know, to say, oh, I saw this interesting video, have a look, and I promise I will keep going and do more. Thanks for joining for now, guys, and I will see you soon for the next episode shortly.